In this video, we shall talk about how to focus on important things in software testing. I hope you remember the definitions of these terms from one of our first videos in this training. If you somehow do not remember, just pause the video and read them. When we are speaking about test cases or defect reports, we have to have answers for the following questions. What is expected? Not just formally like some number, some behavior, but what is this behavior? How exactly is it useful for the end user? Who is the end user? Is it a child playing some video game? Is it a scientist? Is it an operator of some nuclear plant? And so on. And how important is this for him? It may be something insignificant or it may be something very important. So we have to take answers to these three questions into account. Of course, these questions are simple by nature, but the answers sometimes are not. And now we shall review an example that shows how to use this approach, how to make our effort efficient, how not to spend in vain time and other resources. While reviewing the next example, we should remember that quality is always some value for the customer. It may be a functionality, but maybe not only functionality. So we shall think if something is really necessary for the customer. Does he need it? Does he use it? Is it what he pays his money for? And here is this example. Imagine a situation when a colleague asks you or maybe someone else to develop an application. You can see the requirements below. And he may only wait for 30 minutes. And he agrees to pay something like chocolate bar for this work. Of course, it's not a big money, but for 30 minutes it's maybe enough. You may pause the video and read the requirements. That's all. No more text, no more requirements. So simple. And we shall see the checklist for that application. So this is slide 1. This is slide 2. This is slide 3. This is slide 4. And this is slide 5. And you may think, oh my god, how many tests, how many checks, how many work is here? And yes, according to most pessimistic estimation, this may take several months. But remember, we only have 30 minutes. So now we shall see how to rework this checklist and eliminate anything unnecessary from it. The first paragraph is about searching for text files, and it's good in directories with subdirectories, without subdirectories, in directory without text files. Okay, that's okay. So let's create a directory tree with several nesting levels. And some directories will be empty, some non-empty, and we may have directories with and without files, and it only takes several minutes using something like FAR Manager or any other good file manager. Then we shall speak about file names with Latin letters only. Okay, let's add some files there. With Russian, or maybe in your case any other national alphabet, special characters, and so on. Let's add some files here. Some files with Unicode symbols. Okay, let's add some files here. Unicode symbols with special characters, something unprintable. Okay, let's add such files there. And then we see this. Names of different lengths. Okay, all those names are of different lengths. So it's done. And here the invalid length is mentioned. How can we get an invalid length for a file name? Only in the case when a file system is broken. So this is not our situation. If a file system is broken, the user uses some special tool to fix the file system. And then we may speak about text files written with extensions in different ways, in the lowercase, in the uppercase, or something mixed. So, okay, let's add such files here. Still, we have a couple of minutes using good file manager. And we continue. Output in text and HTML mode. Yes, for such a huge, in quotation marks, project, we may only look. We need no any special analysis. So that's why we do not bother. Some special encodings here, it already was in the previous points. Names in different encoding, it's not actual, because typical users never have such situation. It usually happens when several different file systems are mounted to one operation system and something went wrong. The validity of the output data, HTML compliance with standards and so on, it's not actual. If it works in a browser, if it looks good in a browser, that's good enough. So the second slide is done and we only have one set of data. That one from the previous slide. And we continue using it. And we'll continue using it with the next slide. Now we are talking about critical parameters. Directory nesting depth. We've already used 5 to 7 levels, so it's done. The length of the path. We've already used several directories, and so the length of the paths are different there. So it's already done. File size 0. Okay, let's add such a file to our set of data. From 1 byte to 2 gigabytes. Done. Because I think each and every file we've already used is somehow between that borders. What's specific about 2 to 4 gigabytes? Because if we use 32-bit operational system, sometimes such files may be treated and displayed as negative numbers in size. So let's somehow get a file of 3 gigabytes. The fastest way is to archive something and then just to rename. So we have, for instance, an archive and we rename it as txt file, and then we add this file to our set of data. 4 and more gigabytes is not actual, because if this check passes, these checks will pass too. Speaking about numbers of files in a single directory. Of course, each and every file system has its own limitations, but it's not actual, because if the user reached that limitation, it's not about our application, it's about file system. What about symbolic links that are looped ones? It's a situation when in a file system you have several symbolic links pointing to each other. It's a rare situation, but it's rare quick to check. It will take a couple of seconds to add that links to our set of data. Maybe there are some access rights missing to a file or to a directory. Let's add such file and such directory to our set of data. When we are speaking about output file, if it's opened by another application or it's read-only or no more disk space left, it's not actual. Of course, we are somehow decreasing the quality here by maybe 0.5%, but we're saving a lot of time here. In real-life situation, if a user has such troubles, those troubles usually come not from our application. So let the user fix the situation and rerun the application once again. What about file system? Like several file systems, several rare file systems, and so on. That's not actual, because this is high-level application. It uses API of the operation system. So if the operation system supports some file system, our application works. If the operation system does not support something, our application cannot see that unsupported file system at all. And about location. On a local drive, everything is already on a local drive. and only network folder and mounted network drive remain. So let us start our application 3 times. Locally, use the network folder or mounted network drive. And so we have only one set of data, and we use it 3 times for 3 tests of our application. Finally, only 5 to 10 minutes instead of several months is needed here. And yes, if we have much more resources, we may add only some percent to the quality, but for now, instead of several months, we have to spend only 5 to 10 minutes for testing. And remember, we have only 30 minutes for the whole project, so it's impossible to spend several months here. But it's really possible to spend 5 to 10 minutes. So, the conclusion and the main idea once again. When we are speaking about the quality, we should take into account the value for the customer. Is something really valuable to him? Does he use it? Is it what he pays for? So, provide affordable results, not a cup of tea with the complexity and the price of a spaceship. Of course, if we have some magical and unlimited resources, we may allow ourselves such a waste of time, but in real life this is not acceptable. Still, it is absolutely possible to provide the value and the quality to the customer.